Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English Over Tea. Listen and speak. I'm your host, Anna, and as always, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Dan. How's your tea today, Dan?
Oh, it's actually a bit too hot, Anna. I think I was so excited about today's topic that I forgot to let it cool down. My tongue is a bit scorched. Is that the word?
Definitely. Scorched is a great descriptive word, but maybe don't use your tongue for a few minutes while we start. You know, speaking of being excited, we're tackling a huge topic today. How to speak English fluently and confidently. This is the big one, isn't it?
It really is. Everyone wants to know the secret sauce for fluency. But before we dive into the deep end, I have to tell you, I had a bit of a fluency fail this morning at the cafe. I tried to use one of those natural greetings we talked about. Well, hello there, fancy running into you here, to this guy I thought was my neighbor.
Oh no, let me guess. It wasn't your neighbor.
Not even close. He just looked at me like I was a complete alien. I stood there totally frozen, trying to remember what to say next. I wanted to say I've been keeping busy, but it came out more like, I am busy cat?
Busy cat. Well, that's one way to start a conversation. Honestly, that happens to the best of us. But that's why we're here today, right? To help our listeners move from being just students of English to being confident users of English in the real world.
Exactly. And hey, while we're getting started, we'd love to hear from you guys. Where are you listening from today? Are you on your commute or maybe just relaxing at home? Drop a comment below and let us know. It makes it feel like we're actually having tea with you. And if you find this helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps us keep the tea brewing.
Right. So, Dan, when people talk about fluency, they often think it means knowing every single word in the dictionary. But in the sources we're looking at today, it says fluency is more about navigating situations with poise and having words flow naturally without hesitation.
I love that. Poise. It's not just about the words, but the intention behind them. But how do we get there? If I'm stuck at home and I don't have a speaking partner, am I just stuck?
Not at all. Step 1 is actually something you can do entirely on your own. Talk to yourself in English every day.
Talk to myself? People already think I'm a bit strange, Anna. If I start narrating my life in English, they'll definitely call the experts.
Haha. Well, they don't have to hear you. But the truth is, fluency isn't in your brain, it's in your mouth. You have to train your mouth muscles. So when you wake up, say, I'm feeling tired now. When you're in the kitchen, say, I'm making tea now. It sounds simple, but it removes the fear of judgment because nobody is listening.
That makes sense. It's like a rehearsal. I actually tried that last night before bed. I was thinking, I'm going to bed now. It felt a bit robotic at first.
That's normal, and that leads perfectly into our next big point. Most learners try to memorize long lists of individual words, like a broken computer searching for the next piece of data. But to sound natural, you need to learn in clusters.
Clusters. Okay, so like groups of words?
Exactly. Clusters are combinations of words that native speakers always use together. Instead of learning, can you help me separately, you learn, can you help me as one smooth unit, like a melody.
Oh, I see. So it's like, sounds like a plan, or I'll get back to you. When you learn the whole phrase, your brain doesn't have to build the sentence from scratch every time.
Precisely. It reduces hesitation and those awkward pauses. Think about it. When you're at a cafe, you don't want to be calculating grammar rules. You just want to say, I'll have the grilled salmon, please.
Or in my case, I'll have a tea that isn't boiling hot, please. But really, it's about that automatic processing. The research shows that fluent speakers aren't necessarily more intelligent. Their brains are just better trained to access words quickly.
Right. And you can actually train your brain to stop translating in your head. Translation is a heavy, extra step that makes speaking feel slow. So if you use those ready-made patterns or clusters, you skip the translation and go straight to the meaning.
So if I start using phrases like, in my opinion, or that makes sense, I'm already on the road to fluency?
You're already there. It's about building that deep, intuitive understanding. You're not just studying English, you're living it.
I like that. It feels way less overwhelming when you think about it as just habits. But Anna, there are so many words. I feel like I need to learn the entire dictionary to be advanced.
Actually, that's a common trap. We should talk about the 80-20 rule. Did you know that native speakers only use about 2,000 to 5,000 words in their daily lives?
Wait, really? Only 2,000? I think I have more than 2,000 emails in my inbox right now.
It's true. 80% of real-life conversations come from just 20% of the vocabulary. So instead of trying to learn rare words like juxtapose, just master the common ones like buy, go, or need.
That's such a relief. So I don't need to be Shakespeare. I just need to be, well, a functional Dan.
Exactly. Clarity is much more important than complexity. If you can handle the basics with confidence, you're already more fluent than someone who knows 10,000 words but is too afraid to speak them. So Dan, let's dive into something that makes almost everyone, native speakers included, a little bit sweaty. Small talk.
Oh boy, the opening band of conversations, right? I always feel like I'm a detective interrogating a suspect. Where do you live? What do you do for work? Why are you holding that bagel? It's a bit much.
Exactly. And that's a huge mistake many learners make. The sources suggest that small talk isn't actually about the words you say, it's about making the other person feel like a human being, not a character in a video game waiting for input. Instead of hitting them with high-pressure questions like, where do you see yourself in 5 years, you should try active observation.
Active observation. Okay, that sounds like something a private investigator would do. Are we spying on people now?
Not quite. It just means paying attention to the tangible details right in front of you. If you're at a cafe and the person next to you has a book that looks like it's been dropped in a bathtub and then run over by a car, don't ask, what are you reading? That's pressure. They have to summarize the whole plot.
Right. So what do I say instead?
You just make a neutral observation. Say, that book looks like it's been through some things. It's disarming. It invites them to laugh and say, yeah, it's my 3rd time reading it, or my dog got a hold of it. You're tossing a ball in their direction to see if they want to throw it back.
I love that. I actually saw a guy once wearing a tie with tiny rubber ducks on it. I wanted to say something, but I was too nervous. Based on what you're saying, I could have just said, I need to know the story behind the ducks.
Precisely. It makes the interaction personal and makes them feel interesting. It works everywhere, work meetings, parties, even in line at the grocery store. If you see someone with a mountain of whipped cream on their coffee, you could say, that's a lot of whipped cream for someone who doesn't look like they're celebrating.
That's brilliant. But what about those chance encounters? You know, when you see a friend at the park and you're both in a rush?
Oh, the sources have some great social lubricants for that. Instead of a boring, nice to see you, try something more dynamic like, well, hello there, fancy running into you here. It sounds enthusiastic and natural. And if you need to wrap it up quickly, use a phrase like, we must catch up properly soon. The word properly is key because it signals that you actually want a longer, more meaningful conversation later.
Properly. I like that. It sounds very sophisticated. But Anna, what if the conversation does keep going and they ask me a question like, why do you like living here? Or what's your favorite food? My brain usually just goes, I like pizza. It is good. It's so boring.
Well, Dan, you need the R+S formula.
R+S? Is this a math lesson now? Because I was told there would be no math.
No math, I promise. R stands for reasons and S stands for story. When someone asks you a question, don't just give a one-word answer. Give 3 reasons and then follow it up with a personal story.
3 reasons. That seems like a lot of work for a question about pizza.
It sounds like a lot, but it's how native speakers naturally organize their thoughts. For example, if someone asks why people like to travel, you'd say, in my opinion, there are 3 reasons: to learn about new cultures, to see a change of scenery, and to explore new places. You give a little detail for each, and then this is the secret sauce. You tell a story.
Ah, okay. So I could talk about that time I got lost in the mountains in Korea.
Yes, telling a story helps the listener visualize your situation and connect with you. It moves the conversation from facts to feelings. A good story has a background, a climax, and a lesson learned. Even if it's just a small story about a train ride where you shared food with some friendly strangers, it makes you seem way more fluent because you're sharing a piece of your life.
I see. So the reasons part provides the structure and the story part provides the connection. But what if my pronunciation is still a bit clunky? I feel like I know the words, but they don't sound right when they come out.
That's where the ear-mouth loop comes in. Most learners listen passively, like background music. But to be fluent, your ears and mouth have to work as a team.
A team, like a duet?
Exactly. You listen to a short clip of real English, not a robotic textbook, but a real human with emotion, and you repeat it out loud immediately. You're not just copying the words, you're copying the rhythm, the tone, and the energy.
So if the speaker sounds excited, I should sound excited?
Yes, if they say, "Where have you been all day?" don't say it like a robot. Say it exactly like they did. Feel the melody of the sentence. This creates muscle memory in your mouth. You can even try shadowing, where you speak at the same time as the native speaker, like they're your shadow. It's what actors do to learn accents.
I'm gonna look so strange doing that on the bus, Anna. I am a shadow. Fear my perfect rhythm.
Maybe save the shadowing for when you're at home, but seriously, if you do that for just 10 minutes a day, you'll start to notice that you're not building sentences anymore, you're just releasing them.
Releasing them. I like that. It sounds much less stressful than calculating them. It's about getting that automatic access to the words so your brain can finally stop doing 2 jobs at once.
Spot on, Dan. It's moving from controlled processing to automatic processing. Your brain stops searching for words and just finds them. Okay, Dan. We've covered the social foundations, but let's shift gears into something that makes even the most confident learners a bit, well, shaky. We're talking about professional English for success.
Oh boy, here we go. The scary English.
I always feel like my brain enters safe mode the second I step into a meeting room. It's like I forget everything except hello and thank you.
You're not alone. But the sources say that workplace communication is actually quite structured. It's all about being clear, respectful, and goal-oriented. For example, if you're leading a meeting, you don't need a fancy speech. You just need a concise opening, like, "Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. Let's get started."
That sounds manageable, but what if I'm just a participant and I actually have an opinion? I don't want to sound too aggressive, you know?
Right. A great way to introduce your opinion confidently, but without stepping on anyone's toes, is to use the phrase, "From my perspective, the best course of action would be to..." It acknowledges that yours is just one viewpoint among many.
From my perspective, I like that. It's like saying in my opinion, but it sounds a bit more corporate. But Anna, what if I didn't quite hear what someone said? I usually just nod and pretend I understood, which usually leads to a disaster later.
Oh, never do that. It is perfectly fine to ask for repetition. Use a polite, specific phrase like, "I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you please repeat it?" Or if you understood the basic idea but need more detail, you can use the word elaborate. Just say, "Could you elaborate on that point for me?"
Elaborate. That's a power word right there. I'll have to write that one down. And hey, I read in the sources about something called active listening. Is that like listening really hard?
Not exactly. It's about paraphrasing what you heard to confirm you've got it right. You might say, "So if I'm understanding correctly, you're suggesting that we..." This prevents those awkward miscommunications that happen when everyone thinks they're on the same page, but they're actually in different books.
Different books. I've definitely been in those meetings. But wait, what about the new normal, the video conferences? My biggest fear is talking for 5 minutes while my microphone is muted or having a cat run across my keyboard.
The cat is optional, but the audio check is mandatory. Always start with, "Can everyone hear me okay?" And if your internet starts acting up, we've all been there, you can use the phrasal verb breaking up. Just say, "Sorry, you're breaking up a little. Could you say that again?" If you notice a delay, you can mention there's a bit of a lag.
A lag, right. I usually just panic and restart my computer. But honestly, the most stressful part for me is giving feedback. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, especially if I'm talking to a colleague.
The sources suggest a classic technique called the sandwich method. You start with something positive, then deliver the criticism as a suggestion for the future, and end with another positive note. For example, "The report is a strong start. One area we could strengthen is the data visualization. Perhaps we could add a few more charts next time."
Strengthen and perhaps, those are much softer than saying, "This is bad." What if I'm the one receiving the feedback? I usually just want to hide under the desk.
Your first response should always be gratitude. Say, "Thank you so much for that feedback. It's really helpful. It shows you're open and professional." And if the feedback is a bit vague, it is totally okay to ask for a specific example.
Okay. I'm feeling a bit more professional already. But what about networking? You know, those events where you have to talk to strangers while holding a tiny plate of snacks.
Networking is actually more about listening than talking. Start with an open-ended question like, "What brings you to this conference?" Or, "What's your line of work?" Use the shared event to find common ground.
And how do I leave? I always get stuck talking to the same person for an hour because I don't know how to walk away.
You need an exit strategy. A very courteous way to exit is to frame it as consideration for their time. You can say, "Well, I don't want to monopolize your time. Enjoy the rest of the conference." Or if you're heading for a drink, say, "It was really great talking to you. I'm going to go grab a coffee, but I hope we can connect again soon."
Monopolize your time. That is genius. It makes me sound like I'm doing them a favor by leaving. But Anna, even with all these phrases, my mind starts racing sometimes. I start overthinking everything I said. Did I sound stupid? Was my accent okay?
Dan, that's so common. Overthinking is like your brain getting stuck in a loop. You keep replaying the conversation in your head, imagining worst-case scenarios. But remember, a thought is not a fact. Just because your brain says that was embarrassing doesn't mean the other person felt that way.
A thought is not a fact. I need to tattoo that on my arm. So if I'm feeling anxious, I should just name the thought?
Exactly. Say, "I'm overthinking this." It creates distance. And don't forget your body language. Great speakers keep their body open because it signals confidence to your own brain. Open your palms toward the audience. It helps them connect with you and actually relaxes your own eyes.
Palms open, body open, monopolize your time. I think I'm ready for my next meeting. But wait, what about when I'm traveling or, God forbid, I have to go to the doctor in English?
Oh, we're definitely going to get into those survival situations next. But for now, take a sip of that tea, Dan. We've done a lot of work.
Slurp? Ah, much better. It's finally at a drinkable temperature.
Perfect timing. All right, Dan, we've arrived at the final stretch. We promised to talk about those survival situations, the ones where English isn't just a hobby but a necessity, like at the airport or the doctor's office.
Oh man, the airport. The ultimate high-stress environment. I always feel like the person at the check-in counter is judging my life choices based on how much my suitcase weighs.
Well, don't let the stress get to you. The sources say clarity is your best friend here. At the check-in desk, just be direct. "I have this one bag to check and one carry-on." And if you're worried about a gate change, it's always sensible to double-check by asking, Is the flight on time? Or is this the correct gate for London?
Double check. Good tip. What about the hotel? I once spent an entire night in a room that was like a sauna because I didn't know how to ask about the air conditioning.
Oh no, Dan, you should have called the front desk. A polite way to state a problem is to use softeners, so you don't sound like you're attacking them. You could say, "Excuse me, the air conditioning in my room doesn't seem to be working." Using "doesn't seem to be working" is much softer than just saying "it's broken."
Doesn't seem to be working. Okay, I'll remember that for my next sauna hotel experience. But wait, what about the doctor? That's where I really panic. What if I can't explain where it hurts?
Just stay factual and specific. The sources suggest using words like persistent for a cough that won't go away, or fatigued if you're feeling more than just tired. And before you leave, always ask for the next steps. Do I need a follow-up appointment? Or is this medication likely to have side effects?
Persistent and fatigued. Those are great doctor words. I'm adding those to my mental cluster list right now. But Anna, we also need to talk about those really delicate moments, when you have to apologize or gasp, say no to someone.
Ah, the difficult conversations. For apologies, the gold standard is to take ownership. Instead of a vague "sorry," try "I realize now that I made an error. I deeply apologize, and I'm already working on the correction." It shows you're a professional.
And what if I'm the one being asked for a favor I can't do? I always feel so guilty saying no.
Use the apology sandwich. First, express a desire to help, then give a clear reason, and finish with a warm apology. For example, "I'd love to help, but I'm completely swamped with my own deadline right now. I'm sorry." Or in a workplace, you can use the idiom bandwidth, as in, "I don't have the bandwidth to take on anything new at the moment."
I don't have the bandwidth. I love that. It makes me sound like a very busy, very important computer. But Anna, even with all these phrases, some days it just feels heavy, like the English just won't come out.
That's where the mindset we talked about earlier comes back in. Remember, Dan, fluency isn't a destination, it's an ongoing journey. There will be days where you feel like you're floating in anxiety, but that's when you need to drop an anchor into the present moment. Focus on what you can do right now.
Drop an anchor. That's a powerful image. So if I'm having a bad English day, I should just be gentle with myself.
Exactly. Resilience is just quiet persistence. It's waking up and trying again even when you don't feel like it. And if you're still feeling nervous, just fake it.
Fake it? You mean I should wear a fake mustache and pretend I'm British?
Not quite. It's called embodied confidence. If you stand up straight, open your shoulders, and put a small smile on your face, your brain starts to believe you are confident. It changes the way people respond to you. Tell yourself, "I'm here to express, not to impress."
Express, not impress. I like that a lot. It takes the pressure off. So to recap everything we've talked about today, we've got self-talk in the morning, learning in clusters instead of single words, using the 80-20 rule to focus on what matters, mastering active observation for small talk, using the R+S formula for stories, and keeping our body language open.
Don't forget the nighttime rule. Every night, spend 2 minutes narrating your day to yourself in English. It moves the language into your subconscious so you can start dreaming in English.
Dreaming in English. That's the dream, isn't it? Well, I've definitely learned a lot today. I think my bandwidth for learning is just about full.
Well, before we wrap up, we want to thank all of you for joining us today on English Over Tea. We hope these tips help you speak with more flow and less fear. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us reach more learners just like you.
And don't forget to leave a comment below. Tell us, what is one thing you often overthink when speaking English? We love reading your stories and hearing about your journey.
Remember, Don't wait to be perfect to start speaking. Mistakes are your best teachers. Keep practicing, keep listening, and keep believing in your ability to communicate with confidence and grace.
Well said, Anna. Until next time, keep that tea warm and your English flowing.
Goodbye, everyone.
See ya. Perfect.